Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are visiting us today. And thank you for joining us. Today, we are hosting the sixth episode of Topcoder Nation Show. And as always say, this is a space here for us to get to know our community members, to get to know their journeys, how they came here, and possibly learn something out of these spectacular journeys. And super excited, as always, with our guests. Today, we have Dr. Sergey Pogodin. His handle is Bird of Preyru. He's a fantastic character in the community, super intelligent person. He has been multiple times at TCOs. He has won the TCO development competition twice, not just once. So just keep that in mind. He's I don't know what else, copilot, software copilot, data science copilot, data science competitor. And especially something like we share together is our passions for traveling. And yeah, super honored to have him today here with us. Um, he actually is based in Spain right now. And as always, this is a AMA format. Ask me anything. And I've been collecting questions throughout the weeks for you guys to ask him. And in the first 20, 30 minutes of this interview, I want to ask him the questions that, to get to know him, to get to know his journey. And then after that, I'm going to read the questions that I collected. But if you didn't have time to add those, there's a button here below in Zoom. It's Q&A. And you can write down your questions in there, and we'll go through those, and he'll happily give you an answer for those. So it's been a long time, Sergey. How is it going, man?
Kind of like everywhere, I guess. The life is strange these days. But yeah. Thank you for kind words and introducing me, and pleasure to be on your legendary show.
No, the honor is not just mine, it's ours, people who want to get to know about your journey. And if I can get started with something that I know because you told me, is that the fact that you grew up in Russia and then you moved to Spain, and that's quite interesting, a quite interesting shift in my opinion. And just curious to get started right off the bat. How was this change, or why did you move to Spain? How was it?
It was great. I really enjoyed it. So originally, I just learned to continue my studies here to do my doctorate study in Spain. And I was not in particular focused to move specifically to Spain. I just looked for opportunities everywhere. It just happened to be that I was invited to do my doctorate study in Spain, and never regretted it.
So you moved basically to pursue studies in there, right? What type of studies did you pursue in there?
Doctorate in chemical engineering.
Doctor in chemical engineering. That is interesting. And then you jump to Topcoder. I don't know how to start to decompose this. So you, but
many people wonder what is the connection. So in my doctorate and previous studies, I was always working in theoretical field. Yeah. And all scientific theory nowadays include a lot of programming. So it's not that I did like a really huge switch. It was something way more natural.
Okay. But you didn't receive any formal education in software development per se. So it was something that you learned.
I figured out myself on the way.
Oh man, this is why I was. This is one of the reasons why when I talk about you, and this is the first words that come into my mind is intelligent. This capacity of learning that you have.
So to be fair, so what I was educated on was a very good math background and some knowledge of some useful algorithms for science and everything. Mm-hmm. What I was not trained and had to learn myself is actually the good development practices. How you write the clean code, how you really manage the code, and you can be efficient programmer.
Yeah, right. So that was something that you endeavor yourself. And how was your finding or your discovery of Topcoder during this? When you moved to Spain and then you finished your PhD in there, and when did Topcoder enter this life that you have?
So after I did my doctorate study, I worked for several years in academical chemistry research. And I was thinking about this, that I want to move to a professional software development just because I thought it's going to bring me more money. And I didn't know much about that. So I thought, oh, Google, I should get the job at Google because I heard these guys quite famous and they pay good. And so when the first time I tried to get the job offer from Google, with the materials they sent you to prepare, they mentioned, oh, there is this Topcoder thing, so you should check it out to prepare because they have that. So they usually promote the algorithmic part of the Topcoder, you know, SRM, all the materials related to SRM. So that was how I first learned about Topcoder. Apparently, I never got a job offer from Google. So after failed interview and say, okay, what's next? I thought, oh, maybe I should pay a bit more attention to that Topcoder stuff I learned during the preparation.
That's crazy. Well, so yeah, so during this Google interview, I have also heard that they have a reference to Topcoder in there in the Google interviews, like to assess how good you are in algorithms. Well, that's quite interesting.
They mentioned algorithm stuff. They never mentioned that actually maybe with Topcoder you can just start competing and working and forget about Google.
Yeah, just the algorithm. That's it. So yeah, you came. You let's say like by curiosity, you entered Topcoder and then what was the first track you tried? Was it actually SRM as Google suggested, or you went just for development?
No, actually, I never used Topcoder to prepare for Google interview. Maybe that's why I didn't get the job. So first try was a data science competition about DNA sequencing. It was kind of close to what I usually do for work, usually did for work in science. And I competed in that one, never won anything. And then I turned my eye to development track and get quite more success there.
Okay. Well, and if I can make a parallel reference here, you know, I was watching the documentary about 1 month ago because it was the year anniversary of the Topcoder documentary that you are featured in there as one of the people who's being interviewed. And by chance, you were, now that you mentioned this DNA competition, you were at a museum, I think in Valencia, if I recall correctly. And you were talking about a DNA sequence. Was it the same thing that you're mentioning right now, the same challenge?
Yeah, I think I was talking about that stuff in the documentary as well.
Yeah. That makes sense now. And if you haven't watched it, there's this documentary by Topcoder. I'm gonna share the link in the summary of this interview. There's a documentary where there's Perviki, and Nitya's, I forgot who else is there, Thomas, Sergey, and it's a very, very moving, touching documentary and exciting about several different lifestyles of Topcoder members around the world. And Sergey is in there. And I think one of the features that how this documentary...
Back then when we filmed it, I mean, man, if back then we know that the next year gonna be the COVID pandemic, everything, we could do it much more dramatic, you know? We could have this idea that the world as we know it is about to end. And these guys need to get to the last normal TCO, you know?
Wow, yeah, that would make it Oscar worth it material. Yeah, oh man, yeah. I think that would make it much stronger, the message. Yeah, and something that I would like to touch this topic, something that we share in common is you know, now that you mentioned pandemic and travel and the opportunity to meet and travel again, it's about your specific lifestyles, because as I see in your Instagram account, and by the way, if you guys haven't check that, Sergey is always traveling. He's posting pictures at birdofpreyru at Instagram if you want to check it out. And he's always traveling, and that's what I see, at least. So I just wanted to ask, how do you manage to do that? even
the secret,
during the pandemic.
The secret is what you see in my Instagram is maybe 5-10% of my life, and 90% is the hard work and programming, and it's honestly quite boring. So I never mentioned it in my social media. Yeah. You know, that's the problem of the 21st century. They say you go to Facebook, you look how the life of your friends, and they only post the good stuff. So they travel, they have relations, they have all amazing stuff happening, and you think, I live a very boring life because everybody else enjoying the life. And the problem is that people only post interesting stuff, and you don't see what is the rest of it.
Yeah. I once read a quote or something that said that social media was just a mirror of our little success, but we hide, but we tend to hide our major failures. No one. I guess no one wants to post.
Well, I guess in that sense, my Instagram is definitely a show of my life as I dream all my life would be. Just traveling, enjoying my time. Still not yet there. I cannot afford myself to do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's the dream. And well, assuming, let's make a parenthesis here. Let's say before pandemic. I guess that you used to travel more, and you could do this more often than now. And so, but the question is, how does Topcoder fit into this lifestyle that you like? Yeah, like traveling and.
For me, it fitted not that good, honestly. To be efficient at competing or working and traveling at the same time is very, very difficult, So I mostly travel. I want to do. I plan ahead that I wrap every competition, every work before. Then I travel, and then I come back home and I start working again. So on some projects, it was possible also to work on the way, but it's usually only possible when you already work a long time on the project, you know the people, you know the problem, and you're more in maintenance mode than in really competing and putting too much stress on yourself.
So let's say that typically you would split. Let's say if you're going to travel, you just go to travel, but you don't work at all. And if you're going, when you come back, is when you're actually focus more, right?
Well, consider this. Many of my travels were to go snowboarding. So you go snowboarding, you maybe spend from morning till afternoon, you just snowboard. And you come back home, you're pretty tired. So even just to sit and work, it's already like you should, make yourself to do it. Then you don't have much time because there's some other interesting stuff going on in the evening. You want to go to walk around, have a dinner, everything. So you just don't have time to compete.
Yeah. And something I have to mention about snowboarding is not just fun. If you're doing it for the first time, as a first timer myself, you're gonna get a lot of bumps and and falls, but it's super fun once you get through that phase of learning.
Yeah. And that's a very simple thing. You just learn how to do the S-shaped curve, and then you just spend a few more years practicing that move.
Yeah, and something that really was difficult for me was to, how do you call this in English, is stand against the mountain. When you're falling down but you're flipping, you're watching at the mountain, and at the mountain over the tip of your fingers and your feet. That gets your calves really, really tired as a newbie. And be careful about that. People who want to learn. Oh man, you make me miss snowboarding so much. And that was also, by the way, the last time we could travel. And and again, assuming pre-pandemic, how did you choose your destinations for traveling? Did you have any specific, like agenda, like I want to go this place, or you just like throw a dart on the map and this is where I'm going?
So most of the places just come up because I discussed something with somebody in internet, or somebody messaged me something. Oh, I should visit this guy or this friend. So I rarely usually sit and think where I go. It's usually just appears this idea, I should go there that time.
Oh yeah, there's something I have to confess here. When I talk to people and I describe, people ask like this type of process, how do you choose a destination? And then you say like, no, it's random, I don't know, thoughts, friends, recommendation, suggestion. And people says,
Yeah, I mean,
why?
and also I
Why do
believe
you do
depends
that?
on how much time you're already traveling. So when I just moved to Spain, I definitely had a list that I should go to Paris, to Rome, and you know all this in top of every list of destinations to visit. But at the moment of my life, I already feel I kind of visited these obligatory destinations, and now I'm more relaxed about it. And I just roll whenever wind carries me.
That's amazing. Just flow with the water. That's that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Normally, people, it's sometimes it's hard to grasp. Like you can like spontaneously just go wherever the it feels. I guess it's something more guided by feeling than by, I don't know, by thought, by deep thought reasoning or stuff. And I totally agree. I agree with that. Yeah, and I remember the time we were in previous, when we were in the backstage of this meeting talking about when we went to Argentina 2019 with Harshit. And I guess that also takes part of the process, right? Like there's this opportunity to go to Argentina as a Topcoder member. I don't know. I think you were, yes, MVP. Yes, it was an MVP trip. And then you overstayed and, get to meet, hang out more. And
I mean, that's a perfect trip when some entity for some reason pay you the trip and you got there and then you spend more time there on your own paying for yourself. But I mean, usually the most expensive part is the tickets to fly in and fly out.
Yeah, right.
And the rest is cheap. Well,
Yeah,
especially if you go like to Argentina from Europe. I mean, inside Europe, the tickets for air traffic are really cheap. So going different European countries is not a big deal, you know.
Yeah. That's the fascinating thing about traveling in Europe is you take a train or a bus during just 50 minutes, 1 hour, or even unless you are in another country, another history, with other
you know, in some
culture.
Topcoder event, you talk with American-based members of Topcoder community, and they you visited a lot of countries if you live in Europe, and they pretty much visited much less just because USA is so huge and there's actually not much countries around. Compare that to Europe, where you drive actually, and you drive one day, you have like 10 countries around you can arrive.
Yeah, that's definitely accurate. And I think I have a few friends who live in the States right now, and but one of the things they tell me is that they don't feel like they should leave the country because that's it. They're so huge that they also have a like rich things to explore, and they say that it's actually undervalued, the US as a traveling area, just because it's just one country, but it's incredibly
Well, I
huge.
mean, in USA case, the equivalent is actually states. So if you travel to different states of America, it's the same like in Europe. You go to different countries. That's exactly the same.
Yeah, for instance, like Louisiana, you go there, you have such a rich mixture of French and African mixed and with American. And if you go up north, you have the whole world in New York there in one little city, in one single city. And if you go up to the south, you got this southern Texas and such a different things that it can make it feel like if you're traveling in different countries. Yeah, this is what most of my friends tell me about the US. And something that is also related to travel is TCOs. As some of you know, TCO is the Topcoder Open event where we normally do it annually. We meet together and have competitions there. And that's where I actually met Sergey. It was 2016, if I recall correctly. He was there just as a visitor. I think you were not competing there, right? You were.
No. It was just a few months after I joined Topcoder. It was a big surprise. I actually won the trip.
You wanted to. I remember you were not competing, but I saw you there. Like you were.
I won that trip like in some bonus series. So it was already after the main competition was over. There's like a series of challenges, and whoever win most of them got the trip. And I remember it was actually me and Bill Edison. We were toe to toe, and in that I think I won. And,
Oh, so he didn't come to that TCO?
Yeah, but it was so close. I mean, it was very
wow.
close that he goal instead of me, if I remember correctly. It was
Wow.
like the very last challenge flipped the coin.
Wow, you two guys are so strong. I guess that must that should have been a tough competition in there for you too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
how?
that's a bit pity in Topcoder. You kind of compete and win over the people. I mean, you really think they're amazing. I mean, you don't really want to winning over them because you really think they're great. They also
Yeah,
deserve to win.
yeah, they do, you do. And how was this first experience? Even though you were not like a seasoned member, you were just beginning. But how was the TCO experience being in there for the first time? How did that? I don't know. How did you see that
Well,
by then?
that one was different. You know, you kind of you don't know anybody. You see everybody for the first time. So I'm in this situation always very shy. Just look around at the people and trying to figure out who is who and remember the names, faces. And you should consider there's actually a lot of people. So there's a lot of Topcoder stuff, a lot of members invited. So you just kind of lost in the crowd. That was very different when the next time I arrived to Topcoder Open the next year.
Yeah.
It was already, you know, the people and way different experience.
Yeah, that was the very next year, TCO 17. It was in Buffalo, I think. Yeah, it's in Buffalo, and you won it. That was the first TCO you won, right?
Oh yeah, that was the
Yeah,
first one.
yeah. Well, I think Harshi said that every TCO that you competed at, you won it. Because other times you being like trip winner or anything, of course, obviously you didn't compete, but those ones, you did, and that's quite an achievement. I mean, I don't know if you can see this from my point of view, but see, like someone who didn't receive a formal, as many of people, the many people who as like us who come here who receive an education in formal, I don't know, software engineering, and there comes this someone who is a chemistry, this chemistry with no formal education. This is what I mean, and that you taught yourself, you taught yourself going all through this development process, and then you come here for the first time, and you win it. You lift the golden shiny trophy TCO brackets, and yeah. So for me, that's quite amazing. But
Yeah,
I don't know how
by
you see that.
by 2017, I already was a top coder 1 year and something, and a top coder when you actively competing full time. I would say 1 year counts for maybe 5 years of normal experience. So that was I got quite a lot of experience by that point.
Yeah, and according to you, what do you think about? Um, well, actually, I don't know if you have ever done that, but like working in the job. I don't know if you had done that. This is why I'm asking. Versus competition. What are you think like the caveats or the good things, the bad things? How do you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at the regular job, but it was in academia, like in scientific research
Not
institution.
software.
So yeah, I
Okay.
mean, so the environment and the way stuff working is also different from normal business enterprise, you know.
Yeah.
So it's more laid back. I mean, apparently it's good that you kind of free with your schedule when you work for Topcoder. I personally hate to wake up early and start working. So
Yeah.
these days I usually start working at noon, and I think I wouldn't afford myself to do that on a regular job.
Yeah.
Well, but you
Yeah.
know, these days everybody is working through internet, so it's not much different now.
Yeah. Who would have thought, right? Like there comes a bunch of people who creates computer, a bunch of people who get together to push internet, and then a few years later, bang, everyone is plugged to a computer, working from the comfort of their couches and libraries and coffee places.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And well, in talking about that, as you said that you don't like to wake up early. And by the way, I like to say this for everyone: please don't stigmatize people who don't wake up early. They are actually biological proof, uh, circadian rhythms in our bodies that some of us are kind of born for. We like waking up early, and some others just can't do that. Actually, they have a really hard time if they force themselves to wake up very early.
So I'm not
So
sure I agree with you. I mean, in my case, so the two things promote me to wake up late and go bed late is because the top coder. I mean, I'm in Europe, top coder is in America. So a lot of stuff shifted closer to my evening time and give me motivation. So it's better to be, work a bit in the evening than work early in the morning when nobody is awake in America. And the second thing is Spanish lifestyle. So in Spain, if you go out, when you could to go out, some fiesta party, it's all very late. You go to dinner, it's very late.
Okay.
You go to some club for dancing, whatever. It's well after the midnight. So just the life motivates you to go bed very late and then wake up late.
Oh yeah, yeah. And talking about this, lifestyles and the cities, and assuming, well, okay, we know that when you have the opportunity, you will travel. But assuming that you are in a place, let's say for work, and then how would do a typical day of Sergey, Dr. Sergey, look like? Like, we know that you don't wake up early. We know that. So what's next?
Well, I usually have breakfast, take a shower, check my email, and Slack. Then, depending on if I have work or something arrive, I start working. If I don't have anything to do, I probably just go somewhere. I can go to swim, go to travel somewhere, because usually before my 3 o'clock in the evening, I don't have anything new, to do.
Yeah.
Then pretty much I check my email again later, have my lunch, and decide what I do in the evening. If I have some plans, I do something, for fun. Sometimes I just stay and work.
Okay. From my distant point of view, it sounds quite relaxed. Like you don't give yourself too much trouble for like organizing like one in the day.
It's wrong to call it relax. Sometimes I just work from early morning to very late just because I have work to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not actually involved in any challenge or project, so I have nothing to do. Just doing my time.
I get it. And then what about hobbies? I mean, besides working, what do you do when you're not working?
Now we already touched on travels. We already touched that I like the snowboarding, which I haven't done for 2 years. So lately I was doing the windsurfing, but I kind of haven't done much for the last year. So now I think I'm trying to look for a new hobby. I mean, I got myself a car last year, so I think my hobby now is just driving around and looking some natural, nice places where, nice to be and nobody cares whether you're wearing a mask or
not. That's quite important. And good to know that now you have a driving license and a car, and maybe we can do a road trip together. Road trip together. Spain. Oh, please. I please hope that they allow us traveling. Well, at least here, traveling very soon. And you mentioned windsurf. I started doing something similar. I think I told you it's kitesurf. And where do you practice in there? In Valencia, do they have enough? I mean, the wind is they have good conditions for that, or do you have to travel to practice windsurf?
I was practicing in Valencia. The conditions there are so you can learn the basics and get pretty good, but then after some level, you don't progress anymore. That's exactly the point where I stopped going to the school anymore, because I mean, you're paying money, but you feel you're really not progressing. And anyway, the environment is not that good to progress food. I mean, the wind is not that strong, and,
Yeah. Sometimes you need maybe a little bit of more challenging.
Now, I mean, I live just on the beach, but on this beach, nobody windsurf, just because I think it's more for tourists and for swimming. So it's not allowed to navigate on the windsurfing.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you can get more opportunities to keep improving that. And I'm going to um, switch over to the question. So let me see if you can see my screen in a second. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, you should see something that says AMA. Can you see it?
Ah, no, I still see your pretty face. Oh, now I see.
What the heck?
Now I
Yeah.
see the presentation. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because the questions are here. So guys, I unfortunately for me, I cannot keep asking this gentleman questions from my own. So I'm going to ask him the questions that I collected through the form here. But remember that after these are done, there's a button here below that says Q&A. You can write down your questions for him, and then we'll go through those as well after these. So the first question that we have for you, my friends, today is, oh, and I have to mention I forgot to edit the questions. So how are you able to maintain work and travel, especially during COVID-19 times?
Uh, the work was easy. I just kept doing what I was doing. The travel, I'm not sure I maintained that. I mean, we were locked down for 3 months, so 3 months only allowed. The reason for me to exit my house was to go to shopping, food and supermarket nearby.
Okay.
And lately, so that motivated me to get a car and well, traveling like in 1 hour driving distance from the place I live. So yeah. Actually,
And how about
that's funny because normally you think about travel, you always go somewhere far, But when you kind of confined to a small environment, you start looking specifically what is interesting to visit, like in short drive from my place. And I'm surprised how many beautiful things are all around if you drive for 1 hour. I never heard about them. I mean, I live in the area for 5 years. Never heard about most of the places I'm visiting now, and they're amazing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Like what you mentioned there is how we tend to, yeah, right. Like this snap thought that we have when we hear travel is very far away. Like not like another country or yeah, but maybe just the park could be maybe just the park next to you could be uh, a nice experience, a nice traveling experience. But by definition, you don't need to cross countries to say that you traveled. And yeah, that's fascinating. And yeah, and especially, and well, if we can mention country travel, I don't know how are the regulations in Spain at this moment, but can you are you allowed to maybe, I don't know, go visit another country?
Uh, I don't know. Some time ago, I got bored watching the news and following up because they change the rules every week. So you have to spend all your time to watching that. I mean, up to some moment ago, it was weird. I tell you, in March, I was able to travel to visit my parents back in Russia and come back here. But at the very same time, I was not allowed to go to another region of Spain. So nowadays, I know that I can travel around Spain, but to other European countries, I probably can go, but there are some rules to follow, which makes it difficult.
Oh yeah, I get it. Well, well, before I move in to the next topic, to the next question, I just wanted to throw a little. Uh, I don't know if I should call this advice or experience, but whatever. It's also about on the same line of reasoning as Sergey mentioned about you don't know what you have around. If you just go out and you see that you can find interesting things, but if you live sometimes like me, because here regulations are super strict sometimes that you cannot even go through the next county or I don't know city or whatever. I mean, it's a very hard confinement. And even in those scenarios when I felt kind of frustrated, I resorted to literature, and surprisingly, it can be a sort of traveling, maybe boring traveling for some people I know. But when you don't have any resource to go out, for instance, if you read about maybe novels about other places and countries, at least for me, I felt like I was being transported somehow. If you have imagination For instance, there is this nice novel called the Piano Tuner. It makes you travel to these places in Myanmar from London, from it's just like a little bit of imagination, and it feels like a soft palliative remedy for not being. If you have a very rigid fine confinement, as I do, just that.
Or
Next,
you just imagine your travel and write a book about it. You know, the very famous book, The Treasure Island, was written like that. The guy never traveled, I think, outside of Great Britain, but he
really?
just read the books, imagine about the travels, and wrote this famous story about somebody going by the ship to some island to fight pirates and find the treasure. Yeah.
Wow, that what is it called? The Treasure Island?
Treasure Island by Louis
Oh,
Stevenson.
wow. I didn't know that. I will look it up, and I will definitely read it. Yeah, but that's super interesting. Yeah, well, there you have it. More resources. The next question is, what do you prefer between copilots and challenges? That's a good one.
Yeah, from where I stand now, I don't really know. I mean, each of these positions has some pluses and minuses.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, copilot is more stable. The challenges is very volatile, and you have to be stressed all the time. But then, when you copilot, you kind of have more control over what you're doing, and the challenge you working within the boundaries you were given by the client copilot, and that's not so good.
Yeah, and well, if I may add something, I mean, challenges are, as you say, man, they both have, pluses and minuses, cons and pros. But I would say that for challenges are definitely more rewarding if we're talking about finances. Although I think it conveys more that you should have a very strong skill set, and just the abilities to win challenges constantly, right? Because maybe if we're like beginning and learning, but not winning many challenges, something that didn't happen to you a lot, I guess. It could be tough. I mean, the competition environment.
Correct.
How was it for you when you started? Actually, I don't know. You started winning right away, or you had to go through a kind of process?
Well, I started winning pretty much fast. But yeah, I mean, there is aspect to that. So to be in a good position to make your living with challenges, you usually have to have a very broad technical knowledge. So because challenges are very different, and to win a lot, you should be able to win in what is on now. When you copilot something, you have better chances to focus on some specific problem, specific technology stack for longer time. So it's easy in that sense.
Yeah, that's definitely a
But
broad topic.
for myself, I focused on JavaScript and Node.js development, which back then I didn't know anything about it. I knew only very basic JavaScript. I was programming in C++ before. But I saw that at Topcoder, the JavaScript is very popular. And I started learning that, which is not that difficult. And on the way, I was expanding the frameworks I know, and just grew my knowledge that now I can do pretty much everything with that. The backend, front-end development, whatever.
So yeah, so it was like a kind of dual process. First, learning Node.js and the technologies around it, while at the same time learning, the competition process, which is not very difficult, but like reviewing submissions, the scoring process, the appeals phases, and because how long do you think?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, I just wanted to know if you remember how long did it take you to, go through learning from scratch, because you basically learned Node.js from scratch until the moment then that you started winning challenges. Do you know how long did it take you? Remember?
Maybe a year, but let's say a year or two. I had to be very strategic in the selection of challenges which I'm going to do. And apparently my experience was not enough to win everything. So when I was looking at a new challenge, I was thinking, okay, that one I know pretty much everything, so I can do it. Probably I can win. But then I was selecting a lot of challenges, which I say, okay, this challenge I apparently don't know a lot of stuff. I'm probably gonna lose it. But I believe that it's a good chance to actually learn that stuff, and it can be beneficial for me in future, because the next challenge like that, I'm gonna win. And I see that there's a lot of similar challenges at Topcoder now and then, so I say, I should definitely learn this. So I was taking such challenges. And then after 2 years, I reached the point that I know pretty a lot. So if I really want to compete, I always can pick up some challenge where I actually pretty sure I can do it.
Yeah, that's very wise. The strategy that you use to select the challenges as either for learning and also for the opportunity for winning cash. And for this selection process, and sorry to extend to this question, but it's very interesting. Do you consider? I know that some people do, some others they don't. But when you're selecting a challenge, do you consider, or did you get to any time consider who is your, who are your opponents in the challenge? Because for some people they say, I don't know, if Sergey is competing here, I wouldn't join. So
yeah, well, I mean, I actually try to only enroll in the challenges which just started, when you don't really know who are going to be your opponents. Because I mean, joining a challenge somewhere in the middle, it's difficult.
Yeah. Besides that, you have less time.
Yeah, you don't have maybe enough time, and usually something goes wrong. Either there are some hidden issues in the challenge which you have to resolve, and it takes you more time than you anticipated, or something happens in your life that one day, maybe the next day, you're not available to do the work. So it's always safer to choose when you're just at the beginning of the challenge and you have more room to maneuver yourself around the work and the life.
Yeah, and how about the quantity of challenges that you can take? How do you let's say if you join 2 challenges that you have 2 weeks to complete them, you go through them by sequence, or you mix them up, or you choose, I don't know, just to complete one challenge at a time?
Yeah, definitely one challenge at a time, or don't start a new challenge until you finish the previous one, or you decide that you don't want to finish the previous one. Oh yeah, I usually do one, maybe then immediately pick up the next. And the only way I work on 2 at the same time competing is when I already started a new one, but figured out that should correct something in the previous one. Usually because somebody asked something in the challenge forum, which requires small adjustment in what I submitted already.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's such a quality advice here. I know that I've people who's competing at development or any other track, actually, they can benefit from that.
The other thing is that when you invest your time on working on a challenge, the line is like this. So if this is a time, and this is the quality of your solution, so it goes like this. So maybe in one day you reach like 80% quality. One more day it only goes by plus 10%. One more day only plus 10%. So I mean, I would advise not to focus on making a challenge like 100% good. You do it to reasonable quality and you move to the next challenge. Because even if you do everything perfect, the chances are you're still gonna lose it. So better not to lose too much time on reaching the absolute perfection.
Yeah, that's great advice in time management and optimization. Yeah, a good one. Okay, let's move to the next question, because I'm sure that we could stand about talking about challenges like the whole interview. Well, let's answer the questions from other folks. Okay, next one. What's happening today? Okay, cool. Why do you always wear a cowboy hat in the TCO photos?
That's a good one. So when I just registered, I thought, this is community. Everything is virtual and everything is fragmented into separate challenges, which I see a problem with that. How people remember me, because I want to invest myself in this thing seriously. And I wanted
Yeah.
people remember about me, and they really connect me between the challenges. And they actually remember that guy. I already worked with him, and I have a good impression of him. And I think there are some additional benefits if people know that everything you do, I mean, you fulfill, you deliver on your promise, or at least you try as hard as you can. So that's a good thing, right? And so I thought, okay, I should have some nickname which you can read, not just a mixture of numbers and letters you can read and remember. And I should have the avatar which everybody remember. And I put myself, my photo, nobody gonna remember it, but I haven't seen anybody on the avatar with the cat around. So I say, I should pick up that photo, Everybody remember the cat.
Yeah. That would be difficult to remember, to be honest.
I mean,
to forget.
So there should be some object in your avatar, I believe, in such community, which is easy to remember and nobody else have it. It can be anything. I mean, it can be your pet, your dog, your cat.
Yeah. It could be a parrot on your shoulder, or.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. The parrot on the shoulder, everybody will remember. Yeah. Still vacant. That's a great idea. Somebody should do it.
Yeah, there you have it, guys. For the newbies, if you don't still have an avatar picture, consider putting a parrot over your shoulder. That's a good one. Okay, yeah, I to be honest, I also had this question in my mind, because I think when I met you 2016, we shared a trip, a bus trip from Washington, I think, to New York.
Oh yeah.
And you were wearing your hat when we got out of the bus, to say bye and to get it to stay in touch. You had your hat on. I said, "Oh my God, this guy is unique. He has something."
well, that was the first TCO, just because apparently I know that people remember me from the internet by the hat. So how they recognize me in person when I come to Topcoder Open, I should come with the hat.
That's a great one. Okay, we have another one. You beat Sky in a TCO final. Was it hard? He is very good.
Yeah, it was, I guess, pretty hard. I mean, I never checked what he did, so it should be asked from the people who actually review. I mean, he apparently won much more Topcoder Open events than I did, and you actually should have him on this show also, because I'm also curious. I mean, he, I think, did 5 Topcoder Open championships. So,
to give a little bit of more context, Sky, I don't think he's active anymore, but he won the TCO development competition several times, more than 3 or 4 in the finals. And then I think the only time you guys faced each other, it was your first TCO, and you won. That's why I think this person said
back to one of your previous questions. That's definitely a member. So if I come to challenge and I see Sky working on that one when he was competing a lot, okay, I passed this one because I don't want to spend my time competing with this guy. I just had to go to another one.
He is unbelievably good too. It's like, with any challenge you see him, is he's winning. I guess this is why the question.
If you want a brief anecdote, there's a lot of movies about cowboys fight when 2 guys enter the street and they have a shutout and one gonna die. It rarely happens in the real life, because in the real life, all these good shooters in the Wild West, they pretty much know about each other, and they say, this makes no sense because one of us gonna be dead afterward. It's 50-50 gonna be me. So they actually pretty much were polite to each other and tried to avoid the fighting.
No one wants to die, I guess. It's a good one. Okay, and we have another one, and by this question, I suspect this is anonymous, but I suspect this came from Jessie. She always writes down this question for everyone, for anyone who comes here. What is your favorite TCO moment?
Yeah, of course, that's when you have some prize in your hand and you can lift it up. That's definitely the best one.
Yeah, the one that you got to do it live in front of people, not the.
Not the definitely much more fun to do it in front of people than at home. It's like.
Well, at least, something that I appreciate is that you share these videos of unpacking. I don't know how they call when you know, wrap up, break down the box that Topcoder
Unboxing,
sends you.
yeah.
The unboxing that you did the unboxing video, and I'm also going to share it. The unboxing video of the TCO bracket champion trophy. Yeah, I guess that is much. It must feel better to do it live on stage with your friends and people sitting there to celebrate it appropriately. And I think we have another one. I think the last one. How do you win a TCO final? Wow, this is yeah.
I don't know. You just give 100% of your efforts to do the best you can, and then you sit and wait for the result.
Yeah, but to be
So
honest, when
into,
yeah, you
into
go.
in 2017, it was like it was a bit in hackathon style. So they told us the idea of the challenge one day before. We didn't know the very specific. We didn't got the data, but basically, instead of going to see the Niagara Falls, I spent one day thinking and planning what I should do with this input I already know to do something impressive.
Yeah,
And the last one, which was online, it was pretty much a surprise what we have. So
you were second place, right, before the testing.
oh yeah,
Before you were and and then you became champion live when they were scoring down the testing. That
yeah,
was exciting.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I don't know the details what happened there. So, but I think it's like somewhere like 30 minutes left. I think okay, functional requirements. I probably not gonna solve anything else because the stuff which on this automatic testing I could do. I did everything I could do. Probably not gonna solve anything more in 30 minutes. So I spent the last 30 minutes in cleaning up the code, writing the comments,
mhm.
and that stuff which actually give you the points in the scorecard, but not working out after the automatic testing. I
Yeah.
think that's what decided in the end the result.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a wise decision. Like you knew that you didn't have enough time to complete another one, so you focus on the quality of the existing problems that you already solved. But yeah, it was exciting seeing, seeing you there. And again, to give more context in the previous TCR competition development, uh, they have been introducing the automated testing to the challenges. So when the developers finish the participation, they don't know who won. They have a estimate table score based on score, who is first, second, third, and so forth. And by then, Sergey was second because of his score, and the were not tested yet. So we had to wait till the final days for the ceremony, and we watched live how the testing was done and how the score were changing. And then last minute, his all his problems tested successfully, and he became the first placement. That's how he became a champion. And yeah, something I wanted to add is about this question that I see it. I don't know. They asked this question to like to Piotr, to Tom, to Bela Vera, and I don't know. It's a little bit. It's difficult to reply because when people see someone winning the brackets at the TCO final, we normally see we only see this moment when the person is lifting the bracket, but we don't account for the efforts that and the number of variables of the things that have to happen for this person to be there at the first place, like the qualification rounds. Also, even previous to that, his education and the opportunities that this person received in life. It's not just what I mean. It's not just the moment to go there and compete and have a little bit of luck or whatever. It's all of these things because we only see the tip of the iceberg, but all of the things that go behind, like in the background, it makes this process such a random thing. I mean, this is why
Yeah.
I see this question like very difficult
And
to
I think we
answer.
should also mention that I mean this is actually metaphysical about the life. In everything, not only Topcoder Open, there's a lot of people who did pretty much the same or even more efforts, but they never won. So
Yeah,
a bit of luck also.
yeah. There's like this little bit of randomness and like it's difficult to predict. Even though there's someone who, let's say, is super good, super, has these abilities of solving problems. even though there could happen something, I don't know, even like a little bit of, a cold, the person caught a cold, he wasn't thinking straight. And during the competition day, he just couldn't perform well and someone else won. So there's a lot of randomness involved in this question. This is just what I wanted to add. What else we have? Okay, this is the end of the live chat questions. Let me stop sharing my screen. How do I do this? Wait, okay, here. And now I'm gonna check the chat to see if some of you guys have yeah, we have a questions for you here. That cool genius, Dr. Copilot with the hat. Okay, I think it was Harshit. There's a question here that says, did participating in RDM, rapid development matches?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Before the finals, help you?
Yes, I did participate before the final. I participated exactly for that reason, that we were already told that it's going to be the same format like the final. Yeah, that definitely helped me.
Yeah. That was kind of like a warm up for what was coming in the finals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, the RDMs have a similar format to SRM, in the sense of you have a set of problems with different difficulties, easy, medium, and hard, and you have to solve them in a given time frame, and you have a scoring process, a testing phase, and yeah, the winners get prize money, and we are constantly running them in the platform. So if you see those around, you can see the benefit of learning how development works, and also learning skills, and also learning cash, but also preparing you for maybe participating in live tournament and challenges like this. So yeah, good opportunity. We have another one. Anonymous says, how many hours do you work per day?
Oh, it's really fluctuating. So sometimes I would say 10, sometimes 0.
Yeah, I think that's something that you have to measure, like, but then you get an average, something like that, like per month. But yeah, I know
it
what you
should
mean.
be average per month, because if you, in the challenge, you maybe work some really unhealthy number of hours for a few days in a row, but then you say, okay, after that, I need a few days off. So you just relax for a few days doing nothing.
Yeah. I get that too. And this is something like something I appreciate about, like living the gig work style life is, some days, let's say, like you work for 2 weeks like crazy, like you beat your rear parts down in working for 2 weeks, I don't know, 8 hours per day, but then you have 3 weeks off, like you can do whatever you want, or 1 week off, and then you come back, and then you just have work for 3 days, and then you rest 4 days, and it's like these
The good thing about it that it's you who decide what you really need now and what you do. I mean, so if you now need more money and you want to spend more time on that, you do more work. If you just need to relax, you relax. So maybe you don't that need money, but doing more work now, this project brings you more opportunities in the future. You believe that you work.
yeah.
But I mean, on the regular job, it's maybe mostly your boss saying what to do.
Yeah, it's like kind of working on demand according to your needs, or on specific goals of any specific time. It's like,
yeah, I mean, this is like, you are definitely self-employed, I would say, when you gig work. So you decide for yourself what is good for you, like an enterprise, and spend your time based on that.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, you made me remember something that I learned from Tony. I guess you also know him. Tony Jeff is I don't know, he has many titles in the platform, but he runs the product, basically, of Topcoder as a platform. And he told me once, I think it was 2013, in a TCO. He told me, like, you guys, because I don't, we were talking in there, and drinking a few beers, and I told him, like we were talking about insurance and you know, like taking responsibility of oneself as an individual, you know, competitor, because of the lifestyle that we had. And he told me, like, you guys are an enterprise. Like, you have to see yourself as a living organism, like has an enterprise, who is an enterprise, that you don't rely on someone else paying you like your taxes or doing your insurance work, or this is like your responsibility, something that you should be concerned about, because you are an individual worker, and not you said enterprise, and made me think of that.
He didn't tell it to me, but I 100% agree to that. That's definitely true. And I mean, at least in Spain, we have a lot of this discussion about gig workers, whether they're really self-employed or not, because they don't the social security, whatever. But it's always overlooked that it's, if you're gig workers, you're self-employed, this is your own responsibility to pay taxes, pay contribution, whatever. And usually people got problems where they didn't follow the legal ways. They kind of worked illegally, like self-employed. They don't have any security benefits. Then they got into trouble, and they're into trouble.
Yeah. So that's something to consider, like taking responsibility for
your own obligation to put a safety net around yourself if you can.
Yeah, that's self-awareness of being, you know, to manage yourself, your income, your expenses, your savings, your insurance, your health, your anything. It's just being careful about that.
If you are in situation that if you don't win this challenge, you don't have anything to pay your food next week, you're doing something wrong, definitely.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. One should be careful about it. Because, well, I think maybe it comes from, extending a little bit, comes from just the industrialization era that we live, you know, that when the industry came in, and the industrial age revolution, and the state and the market started to provide all of these things, like security, health, employment, education. So we forgot how to administrate ourselves as we used to do before this.
Yeah, of course, because if you work in regular employment, you know, you have the accounting department doing the accounting for you. You have the PR department doing the PR for you, and you don't care about it like regular employment. If you're self-employed, the gig workers, you have to do it yourself, or actively search somebody who you pay that he does it for you. So.
Yeah, totally agree. Oh wait, we have one more question from Penty. Hey Penty, glad you made it here today too. Are you still involved with academia?
Not much. No.
Not much. And I remember, I think, to wrap it up, I remember seeing the documentary again. You were talking about maybe some, I think, if I recall correctly, about founding your own lab for research or something. I guess that should be something kind of, I don't know if it's difficult to achieve, but what do you mean by that? I guess it's related to academia as well.
Yeah, well, in academia it's pretty much difficult. So I don't know how it's called correctly in English, but the way to go up the ideal career ladder in academia, it's very difficult. So there's a lot of positions, like obviously students, a lot of positions for PhDs. Then the next level, there's very few positions. And then if you go higher, when you have your own laboratory, you actually have independent research project. That's very few people arrive there, very few positions.
Oh wow! I think
it's like it, so I still don't remember the word, but the same they say about flying to space. So there's a lot of people who train to be the astronaut, but very few of them actually get the chance to fly there, not to say fly multiple times. So that's similar in academia. Not so bad, but similar.
Yeah, let's say a lot of supply, but like the demand is very low. I mean, the opportunities, the positions are taken. Penty is adding something that said, I think I saw, well, it's a compliment. I think I saw some science papers on your webpage. That's why he asked. Yeah. Well, I think this is something to, I don't know, to dig deep also with Sergey about.
Academia, in my viewpoint, is completely broken because it's the system it works. It kind of you work on the project, you don't have flexibility, so you get the money for some long-term project and you spend time. And if at some point you see it not really gonna work, you're still kind of obliged to use that money and still keep on trying. In a more business environment or gig work, you do a challenge or some work for maybe weeks, maybe months, and some moment you say, okay, has no perspective, and you just switch to another project which has better perspective. You cannot do the same in academia.
Yeah. Well, very different things, I think.
Agility. There is a lack of agility.
Yeah.
So, the modern development is all about being agile. It's lack of that in academia.
Agile, speed, feedback. Yeah, well, something that I find interesting about academia is, at least here in my little world of ignorance, is just the research process. I mean, I'm all for research, and this is what I find interesting: the way they use formal processes to catalog and perform research, and in any different areas, because they have done a lot of work in that. But yeah, or maybe in the future, who knows, Sergey? As we mentioned earlier, randomness acts in very different, in strange manner. So maybe you end up doing something with that. We don't know. Yeah, who knows? And okay, guys, if there are no more, no, I don't see any more questions. If there aren't any more questions, I think it came the sad time, to say bye to Sergey, to all of you. And I had a lot of fun doing this interview and facilitating the questions to Sergey. Thank you, everyone, for coming here. I know for some of you, you're doing the night, the morning, and appreciate that you guys make the effort to come here. And to you too, Sergey. Um, before you go, if you want to say anything, just...
Yeah, sure. Big thanks to everybody, to you for inviting me and having this wonderful webinar, and for everybody who watched. It was absolute pleasure to be here and talk. I hope you enjoyed.
Thanks to both of you for running this. Thank you, Louis, for compiling all the questions and asking them, and all the counter questions and the things you had. And thank you, Sergey. Thanks a lot for with all the enthusiasm as you always have towards sharing all the stories and everything. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening. And see you around. Remember to check the article with the summary of Sergey's insights and wisdom. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.